Three bills. We'll call the meeting to order. Three bills it appears we're going to put to the committee for consideration: 796, 466, 933. I have looked over the remaining bills that are on our committee list. Right now, I don't see anything that I'm going to bring out at this time. The only other bill that could possibly would be 465, the Compassionate Pro Eligibility Act, the same one as last year. I'm going to get with some folks and see whether or not those code sections are in the omnibus bill, so I don't see much need to bring that out. If I do, it will be Monday on the calendar time. All right, we're going to go forward with the House Bill number 796, double referred from Judd B. It is been sent to us, passing Judd B. There's a recommendation that it be titled sufficient to pass. With unanimous consent from the members of the committee, I'm going to recognize Chairman Bain to present the bill. All right, Chairman, you prepared to go forward? Brief presentation. Push your button. I can't hear him. Nick Bain. He's on there, Nick. You're on there, Nick. I can't hear you though. All right, I'm gonna go and present it, Nick. You okay with that? Give me a thumbs up. All right, here it is the 796. This is the same bill that we passed last year with the Prosecutor Association. Submitted some language for modification, 15-year look back period for considering prior convictions for the habitual criminal section of 9919, 91 and 9119, 81 and 83. It changed the 99-1983 provision that provides for that the instant offense has to be a violent offense. That's some change. And also the time of calculation from for the habitual offender calculation will be from time the offender is released from incarceration, or I assume, Nick, is that off of probation or supervision, correct? All right, he's nodding his head yes. Those are the minor changes that we made. We submitted the Prosecutor Association language into that bill, and I think with that change, they've endorsed the legislation. Is that fair enough, Nick?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, Nick. Did I sufficiently explain the bill?
You did. Everything's good. Thanks, Ben.
Okay. All right. So, all right. Well, that's the explanation of the bill. Do we have any questions of myself or of Chairman Bain regarding the habitual criminal bill? Ms. Ford's raising her hand. She has a question, and go ahead and ask it, and I'll recognize Mr. Bain, Chairman Bain, to respond to it if necessary.
Okay, both chairmans. So what I heard you say is that the Prosecutors Association has been advised and they are on board with this.
They submitted the language, right, Nick, that they wanted.
Yeah, I wouldn't classify them as on board. I'm not going to represent that to the committee, and I don't think Chairman Horan is either. I'm saying that they have helped. This is the exact same bill that passed out, I think, unanimous last year from the House. They provided the language for the look back on that bill, making it 15 years from 15 years from incarceration or 15 years from conviction, depending on whether you were put in prison or not. They helped tighten up some of that language, and they also last year. We had that look back on both habitual statutes, or we had that we cleared up to where it really only affected the one statute. So I'm not going to represent to you, lady, that they are on board, but I am going to represent to you that they have taken part in the process.
My understanding is they submitted the language that was, that was a substantive change from last year, right?
That's
Chair?
right. Yep.
And we don't have an email or a text or anything from them saying that they're on board with it. But their concerns were addressed in that particular language. Is that a fair statement?
That's correct. And I'm not going to, yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's correct.
And they may have, if they have other concerns, madam, they haven't reached out to us and told us that there's other concerns with the legislation.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm gonna meet with them this afternoon. I understand. I will ask them about the habitual offender at 796 and get back with you, or whatever they give me, we'll figure it out. Okay.
That would be very kind. I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. There's motion, title sufficient, do pass. All against? I see none against. Madam Madison, do you want to abstain from voting at this time until you don't have to vote for it. You don't have to vote against it. You can abstain from voting if you'd like to be recorded as doing that.
That I would appreciate that. Thank you. I would just like to hear back from them if you don't mind.
Well, I understand, and I figured that's what you wanted to do, but we'll do that. All right, there's a motion to reconsider, gentlemen from Tibby Hall. Motion to table. I'll take it that Ms. Ford would table that motion to reconsider. Okay, that's passed both committees and moving along. House Bill 466 is the exact same bill that comes. We'll be processing this if the committee so sees appropriate that we move it along with two appropriations for their consideration. The exact same bill as we had last year that died on the Senate side. 466. I will tell the members that appropriations did take out $3 million from inmate welfare, I believe, and for reentry purposes in a bill that has already been considered on the floor. However, I talked with Leanne, and she indicated to me that it may be a good idea for us to keep this in the process. That bill takes out 2.5 million out of the current reentry funds. Current inmate welfare funds for purposes of reentry programming. And that's the explanation of the bill. Same bill as last year, exact same language. Any questions on that bill? And again, I want the members to understand, and if we want to ask you why we're taking this money out, is for reentry purposes, for, assuming that we do get some parole eligibility in this session for other inmates that don't have it, we're going to need these funds for reentry purposes. And that's the purpose of taking the money out of the welfare fund. Any questions on the bill? I see none. All against the legislation, the measure. Raise your hand. I see none. There's a motion to reconsider. Gentleman from, I don't know who raised it. Rushing, did you raise your hand? He did. Okay. Motion to table. Gentleman from Tibby Hall. All in favor of the motion table, all against it, raise your hand. I see none. That measure is passed along. All right. This is House Bill 933. Is a bill that comes from Department of Health, came from Judd A. first, coming to us. What this does is lines up with some of the federal mandates. We're required to pass this, I think, within the next 2 years. Met with Department of Health. They're asking us that we pass this along, that suspends your child support obligations while you're incarcerated. Anything more than, I believe it's 6 months. If it's less than 6 months, it does not suspend your child support obligation while incarcerated. Now, that does not forgive you for the obligation. It just suspends the obligation where you won't be held in contempt for that period of time while you're in jail. I think this is a good piece of legislation where those individuals that can't pay won't have their license suspended, things of that nature. While they're incarcerated, when they get out, they'll have lost their license, things to go to work when they get out, but they still have that obligation. It just suspends the obligation to pay during that period of time. Any questions on the bill?
I have a question.
Yes.
Does the suspended time while that person is incarcerated, does it go on the end of their obligation once they're out? Is it added on to their obligation?
I think what it does is it goes on the end. It extends the time frame for them to extend it on. If they had an obligation that terminated at the age of 18, they would still have that obligation during that time when they were incarcerated. They would just get that time, would start over and pay once they got out, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Hold on. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman from Lauderdale, yes.
Thank you for recognizing, Mr. Chairman. In the past, the state of Mississippi has had a huge problem with this issue because we have tens of thousands of people in jail, and the process used to be that the individual that was incarcerated had to notify the court that they had been incarcerated and request a suspension on the child support. So is what we're doing with this piece of legislation, is that making this process automatic now once they become incarcerated?
My understanding is that Department of Health will hook up with corrections and basically run a search on anybody that has those court-ordered obligations to see if they're incarcerated. I will get with you on that, gentlemen, to make sure that's the process. But I believe that the department will make the adjustments. And I think that it's their obligation to make sure that those individuals, if they're incarcerated or not, at the time the obligation hits their books.
Right. Okay. All right. I think that's
if that language is unclear, I will get with Chairman Barnett and we'll meet with Department of Health, and make sure that we're not in a situation where someone incarcerated has the responsibility of notifying them. Okay.
All right. I'll be more than happy to speak with you later on. Thank you.
That's a legitimate concern.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, matters up to the committee for consideration. The motion is titled sufficient do pass. I see none against. Motion to reconsider the gentleman from Newton, and the motion to reconsider the gentleman from October Hall. Motion to table that motion to reconsider. All against the motion to table. I see none. And the matter is passed along to the floor for consideration. We are scheduled to have that's all our business today. We are scheduled to have a meeting on Monday. I'm not so sure we're going to do that, but I am going to be meeting with Chairman Barnett today as well. And I'm letting y'all know that I will be giving some members who are willing to take bills coming up from the city to work. If you want to work on a bill, please let me know, and I'll be glad to see if we can find something for you to work on. A number of our measures have reverse repealers in them that we sent over. So I'll be reaching out to members that worked on legislation last year to work on those bills again this year. If there's anyone else that wants to work on some stuff, please let me know and I'll be glad to accommodate you. And motion is to rise and report. There it is by the gentleman from Activity Hall. We'll see y'all Monday.